Hey guys, Josh Schenken here, creator of the DVRT fitness program. What I want to do today is talk to you about some cool research we've been doing with DVRT and overall with training to make your results that much better. So recently we got into some EMG testing. So that's basically muscle activation testing with some cool new units that we got from Athos. Now, some of the people can try to argue how exact it is. It doesn't really matter because we're testing the same way throughout. And what I started to do is started to see that certain exercises I thought would really work certain muscles weren't activating them as high as I thought. And then it came to me, why is that? And then I forgot our own rule, that strength is both what you resist and what you produce. So what we can't measure with really some surface EMG activity is how much the muscles are actually resisting forces. And I thought about that's what we want, and especially in muscles like the glutes. Yeah, the glutes extend my hip, but they also prevent lateral deviation and other motions. So when we train our glutes, it's not just about maximally activating the glute itself, but it's activating all the structures around it to support the hip and to produce better movement. So you're gonna see some cool exercises that we do. They're not going to only activate the glute musculature, but also teach you how to resist forces in different planes. That really is what happens when we run, we jump, or we do anything athletic or an everyday activity. So try these out, see how it can help your performance and prevent a lot of low back pain. All right, what we're going to look at is a forward max lunge. Now recently, DVRT max instructor Joe Chalacki was emailing me. He's like, hey, have you ever thought about doing this max lunge forward? Because typically when you see us do the max lunge, we're lunging back. And that's definitely the starting point because you want to learn how to load that glute and hamstring properly. Now, of course, if you can do it, I probably have tried it in the last over decade of doing this. And it is something that's an evil sort of advancement of the max lunge. Now, why is it a progression? Because when Jessica's going to lunge forward here, she's decelerating more of her body mass. And when she does that, that means the glutes have to work hard to stabilize her hip and pelvis, but actually adding some movement of the bag itself will add to that complexity. So when she does it, go ahead and do a couple reps, Jess. See how she stays up nice and tall? She's got a good clean lunge. Now, when she's doing it, she's just rotating just to the side of her hip. So she's having to resist those transverse and frontal planes as she's moving in a more advanced sagittal plane movement pattern. And then when she has to come back up, she's decelerating with the opposing hip. Now, you're not going to get the same swing effect that you would with our drop step, but that's okay. This adds a whole new level of challenge. And if you work on adding a bigger dimension to Ultimate Sandbag, you'll find it gets even more difficult. If you ask me one of the top DVRT exercises I'd have people do more of, it's definitely half kneeling arc press. Couple of reasons why. Just by being in the half kneeling posture, we're challenging that glute stability and activation. Now, what people do a lot incorrectly when they start getting the half kneeling position is they're relaxed in the lower body. You want to be active. You want to be driving through that foot, driving that ball foot. When you do that, you feel your hamstrings and glutes become active. That's what we want. Now, when we add the nice slow arc press with the Ultimate Sandbag, now we're adding some frontal plane instability too. So both the changing of my center mass coming up my body and the bag going to the side is really making it hard for me to stabilize through my pelvis and my core. This is a great exercise to do, especially for people that have problems lunging or you see some big instabilities within the lower body. It's one of those things, if you can add in, even if it's part of your activation series, part of your warm-up, it's a wonderful drill to incorporate. You'll start to move and feel better. So she's cleaning the weight up. She's going to drive her heel into the wall behind her, pull the weight in towards her. Okay. She's going to clean the weight up. She's pulling in towards her. She's going to drive that leg back to the wall behind her. And then she's going to try to shoot forward and up into a balance step. Beautiful. Back. Nice. And drive on up. Now, a couple things. Why keep that leg straight behind her? Acts as an important counterbalance for her, so it makes it more accessible to people. Two, you activate the other glute on the other side, so you prevent some of that rotation that occurs. So you don't want to have a bent leg. The load being up in front makes her really have to resist that flexion and feels like more load in her hip. Coming up to that balance that makes sure she fully extends that hip like we want in a good deadlift. So I'm going to do one more rep. You slow people down, you can add pauses, and a little bit of weight goes a long ways. Nice job, Jessica. So again, a beautiful drill to add into your arsenal of glute advanced exercises. All right, the last one in the series we're going to do is lateral step deadlifts. Now you might say, why lateral step deadlift, Josh? Well, I can deadlift a ton of weight just off the ground itself. Just like our single leg front load good morning, a deadlift would be wonderful if we just moved up and down. But we move all types of different ways. So our body has to learn to move more than just up and down. So a deadlift is a great way to build that hip hinge, to build some base strength, but we want to add progression because one of the things our hips and glutes are meant to do is resist that frontal plane. So what we're going to do is take Jessica there and make sure she can do so, and then she has proper mobility. So Jessica's going to deadlift the weight up, so it's easier to start from the top down. She's going to take a shorter step than her lateral lunge, not a lateral lunge, take a shorter step, and she's going to try to break the bag by the middle of her foot. So the middle of the foot should slice the bag in half, and then she'll step back up. So as she steps out, see how she's doing a good job keeping tension in the lats. She's not rounding, she's not flexing, and then she's stepping back to the middle. So when she comes back one more time, she's decelerating with this hip. It creates force and drives her not just up, but to the side, and the right hip absorbs the force. So you can see glute training can be a lot more than just trying to, get the glutes to burn. It has to be smarter. You have to understand how the body moves to get the most out of it.